All right, guys, so today we are talking about the Chapter 13, Actividades. So take a look at it. Activity 1, they give you a list of a few different places or things or sometimes verbs, and you're just going to write down the place in the town where that thing can be found. Make sure you include your articles and stick to the vocabulary. So that one's pretty straightforward. For Activity 2, they're going to give you some kind of situation of what's going on here. So like in this one, it says Juan is depositing a check. So we're going to say where these people are located. So Juan está en el banco. So for that one, start with the subject. It will be whatever's in the original sentence. Conjugate estar to go with that subject. In this case, it was está. En is in, el or la, the, and then the name of the place. Juan is in the bank. So that's it. Simple present tense using the verb estar and your new vocabulary.
All I found is just this.
All right. Well, hang on just a minute, buddy. All right, let's take a look at Activity 3. So this is a speaking assignment. It says, imagine the friend wants to come over to your house after school. You need to give them directions to your house. You're going to give them directions in Spanish from the school to your house. Now, keep in mind, these do not have to be real directions. These could be very lengthy depending on where you live. So I'm just going to say keep it simple, include at least 3 directions. I don't want you to just tell me turn right, and that's it. I want more directions than that. And also include at least 3 landmarks. So I've given you an example in English. Turn right at the school, go through the red light, turn left at the bank. Keep in mind, we want these to be commands, and you're talking to a friend. So even more specifically, these are going to be 2 commands. So if you have not watched the video yet on 2 commands, it may also be called mandatos informales. Check it out. That's really key to you being able to do this. So, yeah. I definitely recommend you writing those down before you record it. All right, Activity 4. It says, imagine that you're the mayor of a town and you want to redesign a business area to draw more customers. Make a plan for your new area. Explain reasons for moving things to different locations. So basically, you're trying to convince people to come to your redesign of your town. Now, what I did with mine is I actually just wrote some reasons why Clinton is awesome. So really, you could do that also, but this gives you some leeway into adding some creativity. If you want to put a mall in Clinton or put a university in Clinton or something like that, go for it. But make sure you're paying attention to the directions. It says make sure to include at least 10 different businesses and keep those to stuff from your vocabulary list. That's what I'm looking for. So my example, in Clinton, we don't have a mall or a university, and I kept up there 2 of my vocabulary lists, but we do have some fantastic cafes. So cafe in Spanish is also cafe. Across from the bank, there's a small store and a cafe. Now, that's only going to count once because I've already got it, which is also a tattoo shop. Now, tattoo shop, yes, that would be a place, but it's not from the vocabulary, so it does not count, all right? So make sure you are getting 10 places in there. All right, let's take a look at Activity 5. Okay, so for this one, it's just matching and it's opposites. So if one side says to the right of and the other side, it will say to the left of. Or one side might say in front of, the other side will say behind. So make sure you're just seeing that it is opposites. All right, Activity 6. Let's see. Okay, so they give you different places. it says, think about these places and describe where they are. So for the example, they said mi escuela. So then we wrote my school is close to the library. So we want whatever place is given to you, conjugate a star to go with the place, and then the preposition, which would be in front of, behind, next to, and then another place where those two places are in relation to one another. Activity 7. So this one is describing your dream bedroom. So you're going to describe where things are using a star and prepositions of location. And I have added in there, make sure you include at least 5 items. So just some helpful words here. Estar, that's the verb to be when you're talking about location. So definitely you can use a star. You can say the lamp is on top of the desk or something like that. Also, I, meaning there is or are. And tener, which means to have. Now, estar and tener, you need to conjugate if you are going to use those to say it is or I have. I is already conjugated, so you can leave that alone. So do your best on that. I think you guys will do awesome. That's mostly stuff as far as the sentence goes from Spanish 1. You're just reviewing some new vocabulary. All right, activity 8. If you have not watched the video that explains object pronouns, you might want to do that personal video for sure. So for that one, you are either going to put an A in the blank or you're not going to put anything. So that one's really pretty simple. It's either put an A there or don't. So let's look at this. It says, I want the new pants. If you watch the personal A video, or it might be in with object pronouns, I have not actually made that video yet as of this recording, but it may be in with object pronouns. So one of those 2 videos for sure will tell you when you need a and when you don't need a. But in that video, the news would basically be, I do not need a. If I remember right, I'm going to have to look back over my notes, but I think if it's a person and the verb is not tener, you're not going to use it after tener with a person. But definitely check out that video and that will explain it better. Activity 9. Let's see here. Direct object pronouns. Okay, so for this one, they're going to give you a place and you're going to say what you do in that place. So you're going to write a sentence and it needs to have a direct object, because then you're going to write a second sentence saying the exact same thing. So como is I eat, comida mexicana is Mexican food. So the object pronoun that could take the place of Mexican food would be it. And so that's where the la comes from. And so then it's just la como. If you've not watched the direct object pronouns video yet, you need to do that before doing activity 9. All right, activity 10. Let's see here. So this one, they give you a question and you're just going to rewrite it. So la escuela, this is asking, do you see the school? We're going to change it to it, which is la. We know it goes before the verb. And then just leave ves alone. So that one's fairly simple. You're just rewording it, changing the word order there, changing your direct object to a direct object pronoun. Again, if you have not watched that video yet, watch the video on object pronouns. All right, activity 11. For this one, they've given you a sentence and you are going to rewrite it. Now, in the example, they do not have yo in there. But let's look at it. Necesito el coche. So that means I need the car. Instead of the car, you could say I need it. And if you watch the video, it is going to be lo, and it goes before the verb. Now, what they are wanting, because the computer's going to grade this, if we don't have a subject in there, necesito, it goes with yo, but they didn't have it in there, add the subject pronoun back in there. And then your direct object pronoun, and then your verb, you won't change. Leave it alone. All right. Activity 13. Okay, for this one, they are going to give you a sentence with a verb phrase. So remember, you can put an object pronoun before a conjugated verb or on the end of an infinitive. So they're going to give you a sentence or maybe even a question, and you're going to change the direct object to a direct object pronoun. So instead of I want to buy the skirt, we're going to say I want to buy it. It is law. If you haven't watched the direct object pronouns video, do that before this activity. So law is our direct object or our direct object pronoun, and it can go before the conjugated verb. So we rewrite it like that, or we can put it on the end of the infinitive. So that's it. It's got two blanks. They want you to write it both ways, and both of those are correct. It's typically just up to you what your preference is, but we want to make sure we know them both. All right, let's look at activity 13. So for this one, they have given you a subject, they've given you a verb, and they have given you a direct object. And then you're going to write sentences, including the direct object, and then rewriting it to use the direct object pronoun. So for this example, we picked the subject yo, we picked the verb llamar, and then we picked the the direct object a mis hermanas. So then to rewrite it, we conjugate llamar to go with yo, llamo, and then just add that last thing in there, a mis hermanas. And that's the first sentence, and that means I call my sisters. Now I could say, instead of I call my sisters, I call them. So that's our second sentence. Yo, them, because they're girls, it's going to be las, and we put the las in front of the conjugated verb. Yo las llamo. All right. So that is it. Those are all the activities. If you are confused after you have watched this video, come find me on Zoom. I'm doing that every day. That is a school day, not on the weekends. And if we have what was supposed to be an in-service day, we won't do Zoom on those days. But if there is information on Google Classroom for that day, that means that is a school day. Find me on Zoom if you are confused. I'm typically on there for an hour each day, but if you get there and you need longer than that, then that's not a problem at all. Just let me know. So I will see you guys later.